So it's been a little tradition of mine for the past couple of years now that when I get back from my trip to Zion and get my film back from the lab, I film a film reveal video where I look at the film for the first time on camera. And so what I did is I set up a little setup here with my light table balanced precariously on a tripod so it doesn't fall over. A little more subdued lighting from the front, so it places more emphasis on the light table here. Only thing to keep in mind is that I am using tungsten lighting, and I have my white balance for the video set to tungsten, so you can expect the images to show up a little bit more bluish on my daylight rated light table here. So as far as how many shots I took on the trip, here you go. I got 11 exposures on C41 and 11 exposures on E6. A lot of scenes I would photograph both on color neg and slide, so that's why I end up being exactly the same on both. But let's take a look at the color neg first. This is one that might take a little bit of imagination because what you see on the light table is a little hard to figure out sometimes until you really get it scanned. So we'll break the seal here. Let's see what we got. So, in no particular order, we'll start out with this one here. So this is a photo I shot of kind of a grand scene in Zion. It's one of the few areas where I found that I have a really nice ability to capture the cliffs and the fall color. I shot with the normal lens, and this was taken as a storm was going over, so it's stormy skies. That's why it's a little darker in here, because it's going to actually be lighter in the actual image. This is a scene that does appear to be quite sharp, and I was a little concerned about that, mostly from the standpoint that my camera was broken, and the front standard, which is where you control the front tilt, one of the knobs was busted, and so it kept drooping. So I literally used a shoelace to tie it off. But it appears as though I have a pretty good exposure here, and composition looks okay. You never really know until you scan it, but that could be a good shot. It might also not be a good shot. So a little hard to say for that. There's gonna be 3 of those, by the way. So, but the next one is not that. So this is one of the glows back in the narrow that I've shot from a lot higher up in the past. And again, this one appears to be sharp. I have good exposure. There's some areas that go dark, but they're meant to go dark. I have this one on slide too. But it has a decent feel to it. There's a nice rock there in the foreground. But that could be pretty decent. I think I'll know more about that once I'm able to look at the version I shot on slide film. Here's that same scene again. I honestly can't tell any difference between this one and the other one I looked at. It's always so hard to tell with color neg. One potential concern as far as composition is this rock here on the left side, but it may be a non-issue. But that was one of the things I was debating with when I was setting up the composition. But again, no real surprises. I think I'll be know a little bit more once I see the slide of that one. So this is a giant boulder shot, and this is a scene that I had been wanting to photograph for a while. And this is actually the scene I went to photograph in January, and then the one photo I shot before the lighting, well actually after the lighting was good. The lighting sucked at a certain point, but I had film shift on that one. This one I might very well have the glow because I see it's quite dark here. So I think that's the flame light glow. And I have good tonality. Composition looks pretty solid. This area was worked quite nicely. When I set this one up, I made sure that I was going to be sharp in here, 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 and here. And I might sacrifice a little bit at the top. But that appears to be pretty decent. I'm definitely really dark right here, but I mean, it is a very dark area. But I think that'll probably be pretty decent. Really cool scene. Next up, all right. So this is my photo of Archangel Falls, and this is one I've been trying for quite some time. And the thing about this fall is that it is incredibly dark in these areas in here. I mean, to your eyes, it just looks pure black. So I'm not surprised that there's not much detail to be had there, but that's fine. I did have some concerns with some moving trees. I see this tree right here has some movement to it. But I know I shot somewhere I didn't have that. But compositionally, I think it's pretty good. It was a scene that to my eyes looked pretty sharp. Not sharp. It doesn't even make sense. To my eyes, when I blocked off the foreground, the sides, and the top, it looked pretty solid. So I think that's pretty good. No surprises. No surprises is a good thing. Now this is the only shot I have of this particular scene. My phone is ringing. I'll have to let that one go. Throw my phone on the floor there. This is a scene that I photographed. It's the first photo of the trip. It does appear to be sharp. There's a pretty good glow going on there. I'm definitely dark in some areas, but I appear to have all the information I need. A little dark there, a little dark there. Should be a nice glow there. But that's not bad. It's a pretty decent shot there. My phone continues to ring, but I threw it on the floor. Put it on silent mode, but that's never very silent. So here is another image of Archangel Falls. Still have movement there on the tree. Have movement over there on that tree. But not bad. This is actually quite similar to the other one. I shoot a lot of doubles just because you never quite know what's going to happen. Next one up. So now this is a scene of that rock, that big boulder, but this time without the big glow. So I have with and without the glow. I actually have a little more detail down in here, but that's a pretty good solid shot, I think. I think the first one with the glow is probably going to be the better, but again, I won't know until I get it onto the computer. So now here's one from Archangel where I see little, if any, movement there. So this is clearly the best of the bunch. Again, a pretty clean composition. The other thing too, when I was photographing this scene, my goal is to shoot horizontal, so I have a nice flow of water coming down through like this, but I also want to make sure I had the top of the tree. So I used camera movements, rear camera movements, to basically shrink the top and enlarge the foreground. And by shrinking the top, I can fit the tree in there. So it's one of the things that you can do with large format, as far as sometimes forcing a composition, which is kind of neat. So this is another version of that first scene, and this one might have some light hitting in the background here. It's sharp, and that's what counts. These ones, it makes no sense until I get them, but this does represent kind of a cool scene where I had this fall color that was kind of flowing out into the foreground. These cliffs and the trees up top. It was a pretty cool looking scene. But we'll see if that translates to a photo pretty decently. And then my last one is that same scene again. Now this one I can see that I caught a little bit of direct sunlight here, 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 to maybe give a little more depth to the scene. And the foreground also might be in the sun. I think I see some shadows there. So I was trying to catch it when there were some breaks to to the clouds. But that might be a decent shot. I'm sure with the 3 images there I'll have something. So next up is going to be the slide film. This will be a little easier to see. And let's hope for no surprises, because there really weren't any with the color neg. Okay, so first up here is the rock shot. Now this was my safety shot before the light got good. And you can see it's very bluish. Pretty dark in areas, but let's try to make sure I didn't blow that out. I'm a little dark. But I know I shot this later on when I had some good light on it. It's not bad though. I mean, it's actually considered a proper exposure. I have detail everywhere that you need it. But we'll see how the brighter exposures, when you get the glow in the background. So here's that same scene with glow, and this is pretty much a perfect exposure. So I've got this nice glow going on back here. Get the really soft water. Good amount of detail in through there. You got detail everywhere I need it, so it's a pretty solid shot. But you get that cool kind of around the corner kind of feeling. The river sweeps through. It's kind of cool greens and blues in the water. And in this area of these rocks here, I splashed this down with some water many hours before I shot to make sure it was nice and clean. Yeah, it's a pretty solid shot. Pretty happy with that. We'll have to compare that to the color neg and see which one would make for a better print. And there's the photo in the Narrows when there's a bit of a glow going on there. That's also a pretty solid shot. I'd probably take down the blues a little bit because Velvia really pulls out the blues more than I would like, but we are very sharp all the way throughout. And I think I have another photo of this when the glow is even stronger. But not bad. Yeah, here's one with a bit of a stronger glow. And there were actually people moving through the scene when I shot this, but they are incredibly invisible. But I'll have to compare that to the color negs and see which one is better. It's a scene that a lot of people photograph, but I wanted the lower perspective. I already have the higher perspective, but I figured the lower would be nice as well. Here's another shot of the rock. This one appears to be perhaps a little bit darker. Can't quite tell. I have detail all through here, good through here. I have enough on the rock. This might be one where color neg does a little bit better, or at least the other one, but I'm really picking up blues there. I know it's going to be exaggerated by the camera. It's not quite as blue as you see on camera, but it's certainly quite blue. But it's a pretty cool glow. Tough exposure too. A lot of contrast there. Archangel Falls, look at that. The slide does pretty well here. I got some movement here on the tree. That was a troublemaker tree. I'm about as bright as I possibly can go up top. And I use a polarizer to help reduce some of the glare on there. But I think if I reduce the blues that the film picks up, that'll also help bring out some of the warmth up here a little bit. I think they'll be pretty solid. This one's actually quite good as is, but I do have movement there and there. I know I have at least one more exposure where I think they're quite steady. And also the color neg. Okay, here's one that has very little movement. I mean, there's still a little bit there, but this is less than the other one. And darn near the exact same exposure. But looks like to be a pretty solid shot. I don't have to choose between color neg and slide on this one. And another one. I had this place to myself for a while, so I was able to photograph it, and so I was burning a lot of film. Again, just a little bit of movement here. This one might be the best of the bunch, but such a dark scene in the foreground areas here, so I'll have to compare color neg to slide. But it's good composition. I'm cool with it. I forgot about this one. This is a scene on the east side of the park where I really liked what was going on with some of the color in the foreground, the brush, the tree, the leaves in here, and these big pine trees back here. And it's a chaotic photo. I mean, that's for certain, but this is the type of image that I think large format does quite well with. So I stuck this puppy down almost all the way to try to get it as sharp as possible, but I don't know. It's got kind of a quiet feel to it. It's got some neat elements that it might make for a pretty decent photo. It's calm, and I think it represents the area quite well. I want to incorporate those trees too, because those are Jeffrey pines, and they smell fantastic. It smells like vanilla maple syrup. Here's another version of that. Now this one feels a little more bluish in the foreground. I shot several versions of it. I'm not quite sure which is which. This one's definitely more blue in the foreground. The other one may have had a stronger glow, but there's a cool glow here because I'm shooting in the shade. My exposure is solid. I mean, it's a low contrast scene, but that all looks pretty good. It's chaos. Chaos is hard to photograph, but I'll make it a challenge to do that. And here's the final of the bunch. I'm gonna have to really sit down on these and figure out if one of them is better than the others. I suspect the first one might be the best. But again, it's a calm scene. Calm chaos. So, what do I think about the images? Predictable, in a good way. If it's unpredictable, that's not a good thing. But I think I'm going to have a lot of decision making to go on because I have both color neg and slide versions of many of these images. And I don't know, I think I got a pretty good feeling. I think I got enough images to hopefully call it a success for the trip. But this is also among the most images I've shot on a trip. I mean, 22 exposures on a trip, that's quite a bit. But I think I'm feeling pretty good about it, which is nice. A lot of times when I look at my film for the first time, I have a not as good reaction, but I think I'm cool with it. So, thanks for watching, and I guess I'll have to do a film reveal video for my Death Valley trip too. And now I gotta start working on my video journals because I've just started putting a little bit of it together, and you guys know how the story ends. I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go along right now. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you right next time.